Welcome back, everybody, to another great day of PWM Pro Tour here at SPO TV. My name is Valdez. With me is Joel Sophie, as always. We're getting down to the second half of the season, Joel. This is, of course, Season 1 over here, and this is the last day that's going to decide who makes it into the finals, who goes into the wild card match, and, you know, how everything's going to be decided from there.
We started out with 40 teams. We're about to get to the top 20 of what we're going to be seeing in the finals. Of course, like you said, the top teams will be decided today, with today's matches concluding with the Week 3 action just about to be done for today. And we'll get the teams who couldn't just make it to the final, but very close. We'll get them to the wild cards starting next week, and we'll have that one day to prepare to really see who our top 20 finalist teams will be. But, you know, lots of exciting teams right now. Some that have already qualified to the final because of how far away they are compared to the rest of the competition. But kind of in the middle of the pack, I think they're really looking to make sure they get enough points today to hope to get to the finals. Yeah,
there are going to be a lot of different teams that are in a very similar predicament. I think there's 4 of them, actually, that have to play today that haven't played just yet. But we're going to get into that in just a second. We're going to go over the overview first. And this is, of course, the points table. The same points table that you guys know from just the daily points and the round points. It's going to be the same for the teams that are placed going into the finals. So if you're the first place after 3 weeks of games, you're going to get 500 extra points going into the finals to help out with your score. And it makes sense because the team that is the most consistent and gets first place deserves a bit of an advantage.
And what we thought the slide we saw before that was a little bit redundant over the season, talking about the point table. We know how it works out, but now we know that, you know, once they make to the final, depending on what their regular season results were at the final standings of that, they will get that bonus points, the advantage point we're calling it. And for the final, if you're placing up at first, and you're talking about Genji Black, Genji Gold, they're very up in the contentions there. And they can start off with 500 extra points before starting the round 1 of the grand finals. And we know how big that could be. Talking about an extra chicken dinner just to start you off. And, you know, you become the favorites. You're going into the finals as favorites. And I think everybody wants to get that first place spot on the end of the day. But we see that 5th through 8th, those 4 teams aren't decided yet when it comes to the final standings. And they can all get the first place spot over Genji Black if they get a first place finish today.
That's the key, Joel. They need to get first place. If they get second place, it's not enough to get first place overall. So those 4 teams specifically, we're going to be taking a close look at them and highlighting them over the course of today to see if they're close enough to get first place to steal that away from Black. We'll take a look at all the other teams here. You'll notice that obviously lower total points for the teams that haven't played yet for Week 3, and you see the majority of them here on this screen.
And who are we to say that all these teams aren't capable of getting to the finals eventually because they can get to the wild cards? Just in case for, I mean, OG and Entis Force, if they get a first place overall finish, by all means, they have a chance to go to the wild cards. And I think no team is quite out of it yet, and every team has something to play for. And, you know, teams at the top, they're going to try to fight towards to get that first place overall. But the bottom teams, they're going to try to get to exactly where they are. But, you know, of course, talking about WMV, of course, the team that, you know, started off with us from the Chinese region, but, you know, could not stick with us, and so along with them and another Chinese team that we talked about earlier in the week, and they're not going to be in the tournament anymore. So kind of kudos to them. To best of luck for their future endeavors, of course.
Yeah, I mean, they gave it a shot. Didn't quite work playing out over in China. And we still have 2 teams left over. Fire and AST are still playing in every day, which means that we should see both of them in the wild card, unless both of those Korea teams, ROG Maximus as well as OGN Entis Force, if they have a good day today, they could overcome a couple of those teams and perhaps steal away those last 2 spots. Because, not sure if we mentioned it, but the teams that are ranked 17th through 36th, those are the teams that make it into the wild card. Everybody above them makes it into the finals, and everybody below them doesn't get to do anything at all.
4 teams will be eliminated today, Valdez, and we already got 2 of them with the 2 Chinese teams not participating anymore. You see the teams enjoying their chicken here. WGS Arena, they're ready to play, and you see exactly what they're ready to go. And they were, you know, first place coming in from Group C. And something that was really unmentioned was that these teams look exciting now, but they really weren't that type of an endeavor. This team that we talked about really wasn't in our tracks. Talking about WGS Arena, we never thought that they were a good team. But of course, they showed that they can get first on the day, and how well can they continue on the differences when they find out them and Team MVP in this comparison here.
Yeah, second and fourth before this week, as mentioned before, very, very close in terms of the stats. But you'll notice that Team MVP does a lot more damage, which means they're just landing more shots. Doesn't necessarily mean that they get more kills. As you can see, WGS Arena has 3 more, but overall they are... They like to attack a little bit more. Like if they see someone, they're not going to hold back, whereas a team like WGS would be more inclined to just stick back, not give up their position. And perhaps that's why they have a higher spot right now.
Top fraggers from both teams with Easy PC Man and Lambitan.
Oh, yeah.
Very good players here, and of course, Easy PC Man gets the win in terms of damage charts overall and the overall survival rate on average terms. It's going to show that, MVP has been on the aggression end, and it's not to the biggest extent, but it just means that they have picked fights and picked on the aggression to up these damage charges that you see on the screen, but that really hasn't turned into results. And I think WGS is better on that day where they did really well to pick up good fights to make sure the battles that they win is the one they really expected to win in the first place, where MVP and the rest of Easy Peasy Man, I think they're really trying to get every fight they can and try to get through everything, but just never has worked out totally, and they are just a little bit below on where WGS Arena currently stands.
Yeah, but both of those teams, as long as they get a halfway decent result today, and they don't get, 19th place, they should make it into the finals, just because they've had a really strong running through the first 2 weeks. A couple of teams that we've been kind of excited but also surprised to see doing this well, right? WGS Arena wasn't a name on everybody's mind like, oh yeah, they're the big favorites to make it in.
No.
And Team MVP, they're pretty good, but they're not like top-ranked teams here in Korea. But so far in PWM, they've been proving that they've improved.
I always talked about Team MVP being that top tier in the mid-tier team. I mean, talking about them always in the middle pack, but they were always the good team in that middle. And just seeing them do well this time around in PWM, it does make me feel good, because I think they were coming off a really big prestige of what we tried to get for Team MVP, but they're doing a lot better this season, especially in PWM, and really excited to see them probably get to the finals. No problem with that, and see what they do in the finals. It's going to be interesting as well.
Yeah. And in terms of, what we said before, the advantage points are going to be really huge when you make it into the finals. So even though a lot of these teams, they know they're already in the finals, you could think to yourself, hey, what do they really have to play for? Well, it's those extra advantage points that when they do go to the finals, they have a much better chance of winning or getting higher placed, because they have extra points from getting higher placed in the regular season. So everybody's going to be fighting for the top spot. That extra chicken dinner, as you mentioned, as you called it before the broadcast, the extra 500 points to help out during your final point calculation would be fantastic.
And really goes to show you that PWM did this right when you're talking about this last day, actually counting something for everyone. And it's not about the top teams being so relaxed that they're already in the final, so they don't really need to try for anything. And about the bottom teams, we're just so far behind, there's nothing for us to play for. Everyone has something to play for, from the top teams trying to make sure they finish first, and also the bottom teams having every chance in the world. If they have a big day today, they can get to the wildcard, and only 4 teams are eliminated. And there's not much of a slot, talking about the 4 unfortunate teams that we'll stop seeing ever since this day ends. And we will get to the wildcards, of course, after today, but the most important thing about today is who end up the season in first place and who will follow them in the standings there, and that will really decide who gets the biggest advantage once we make it to the finals.
Yeah, so any predictions today? I've noticed that there are tons of fans here once again for Genji Gold and Eska. On Monday we had a crazy amount of fans. It was, the entire studio was totally packed, and it was really awesome to see all that. It wasn't just for, just one team or anything like that. It was for multiple different top-level teams, and have kind of the same thing here, although a lot of them are for Eska. But do you believe that Genji Gold will get first today?
I mean, Genji Gold has every right in the world to get first place. I think they've been really consistent throughout the season. They never really had a bad day and got themselves into this position where they were third before week 3 all began. And of course, Genji Black started out as first, but they ended up in second place on their respective day 2 days ago. So they're in this situation where they basically have not completely secured their first place secure spot. So they're in this predicament where all those 4 teams we were mentioning earlier, they can get a first place on the day today, and they can easily beat out Genji Black as the overall results to get that 500 points before the finals. And what I'm saying is that Genji Gold right now, along with the other 3 teams, they have all the chances in the world to get the first place spot today, and I think they're strong contenders. But I'd be really surprised to see WGS Arena, a team that really hasn't tasted too much success before, continue on the day, and I don't think they're going to be finishing out first today.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think that Genji Gold has the highest chance of winning this one. And as we said before, whoever gets first place, if it's out of those 4 teams, they're going to be first place overall. So there's so much on the line in terms of those points. And everybody's going to be coming out. You know, it's a lot more solid of an idea, right? When you show up for the first day, you're like, well, guys, let's just try as well as possible. Let's try to get first place, but you don't really know exactly what that means until you get down to the final day and you do the calculations. You can see it in front of you, and you're like, okay, well, we need to win this one if we want to get first place. If not, we're going to be somewhere, you know, 1st to 10th even. So it's definitely a little bit more pressure for these teams that are trying their best to get first place.
And that is the moment you start realizing that every day counts towards your final standings in the end. If we all knew that you get an advantage point, which we did, you know, going to the grand finals of things, and it really showed that day one, the opening day, had such a big infrastructure in talking about how you build up your success throughout the season and get eventually to the grand finals with the most advantage points possible. It's showing that, you know, teams that have been the most consistent. I keep saying that word over and over again, but it is so important in PUBG. And in a format like this we have at PWM, where every match does really build up to how much you will be rewarded with going to the grand finals, which will be all about the money, and you get closer to the money by doing well in the regular season as well.
Yeah. We mentioned 3 of the teams out of the 4 a lot. We talked about WGS, we talked about Team MVP and Genji Gold, obviously, but the 4th one is actually Max Till Mad, and that's not a team that we were looking at as well, even more so than WGS maybe. We were like, well, the Max Till teams, they have a lot of work to do. But then Max Till Mad came in, and on 2 occasions they've placed top 5. They got 4th place on the first day, 2nd place on the 2nd day they played. So this is another team that we're just seeing essentially come out of nowhere and have a couple of really consistent good days here at PWM. They've almost definitely netted themselves a spot for the final match. But I'm excited to see if they could just be as consistent as well, once again, because they're just one of these teams that we didn't expect much from, Joel.
We're talking about the new additions into the powerhouses we have in Korean PUBG at the moment. We recently added on with BSG Luna. They weren't originally there. We talked about Genji Black, Genji Gold. They were always there. They were the teams that were always there, with OG Nantes kind of starting to fall out recently, but they were always in the top of the realms. And you talk about BSG Luna as a team that really came out of nowhere and showed the aggressive styles and showed that it actually worked with weeks in and weeks out of really good performances with their aggressive play style. Show that they are now the strong team in Korea to really keep an eye out for and keep attention to. We can see these other 2 teams talking about the Max Till Mads and talking about the WGS Arenas, and these 2 teams, if they have a good day today, I think they can really be one of the top teams right now we see in Korea.
Yeah, and it's all going to come down to today to decide which teams are going to be up at the top and which teams are going to fall to the wayside and have to play in that wild card match. So guys, we're all ready. The delay is over. Let's jump into TPP on Miramar to start off the day. Here we do go. Flight path is good to start things off. Very easy for pretty much everyone to get anywhere, except the Media Bridge team that wants to go to Puerto Paraíso.
Also, Los Eagles going to be difficult for Lunatic Kai. Of course, this is a very general and very generous flight path for the PUBG gods out there. Of course, we just count on each one of them to give us the fairest game possible. And this was a good one to start off, but very exciting day, Valdez, as we will decide, you know, who our top teams in PWM are after today's games, and we'll get to see who the 4 eliminated teams are. It can be from this group, and also can be from the other groups as well. We'll see how this flight path goes as the Flame takes his takeoff and just gets ready to get on for game 1 here.
Yeah, here we go. Nice view of the plane for now. Yes, this is what we wanted to see. RG Maximus, the sister team of ROG Centurion, they really have not had much luck. They're actually currently in 37th place. So speaking about teams that have pressure, they need to do better today if they don't want to be down in that bottom 4.
Definitely they're not really reaching for that top 16 spot. They were just trying to get to the wild card spot today. So good result for these guys, and definitely should get to the wild cards in time. But if they slip up once again, I feel like they might be one of those 4 teams that we will not see after day 6 of PWM Fray.
Yeah. You guys will notice Genji Gold on your screen down there at the bottom. They always love to go over to Impala, and that's exactly where they're going. Joel, no surprises just yet. Quadro also going up to Campo Militar. And everything's starting off kind of as we expected.
It's going to be fine for this nice flight path that began us off. Day we just talking about from the opening day where they put up so much pressure against the other team. They're going to bring it back again because I think he has his point there, because he was talking about a really good opening day for Freaker Freaks Ares as a whole, where they got 2nd overall, right behind OPGJ Hunters. But after that day 1, the day 2, and can be this day 3 where haven't had the best of performance and kind of have fallen out and kind of in the middle of the pack. Even after placing 2nd on the opening day, shows that Nungyo, Davey, and the rest of the Freaker Freaks area, they're ready to play once again, bring back the momentum that they got in this first day, and hopefully make it to the finals with the best of the advantage points out there.
Yeah. The Freaker Freaks area is just sitting here in San Martin, western side of this city that we got going on. The circle is going to be over towards the right side. All of the fans for Genji Gold already looking pretty happy with this circle, as Impala is going to be a great place to start, especially with no other teams even going close to that direction.
Like the information is now on for all these teams who have got the information of where all the teams like to land in. They know that Genji Gold, one of the top teams right now in Korea. If they decide to land in Impala, everyone's going to just let them land in Impala with no problems there. So that's kind of the rights and really the privilege that you get being a top team. That when you get that information out there that we are landing in this specific location, no teams will really dare to fight you in the early game, and that just gives you a better early game to start off with, and that just really snowballs as you move through the season, which is really nice for the top teams out there.
Yeah, I mean, imagine being a team and saying, we're going to jump to Impala, which, Impala's decent, but again, it's kind of on the outskirts. If you get a Northwestern or any circle that's on the west, you got to travel into the circle. But you add that to the fact that also you have Genji Gold, one of the best teams in Korea, maybe even in the world. We'll see if they make it into that invitational. But would you ever consider dropping there as a team? I'd say hell no. I'm not going to drop there. And, well, we're taking a look at the Picado drop. We've seen a lot of teams try to, especially the Chinese teams, try to drop here and challenge the Korean teams. I mean, Picado is just super popular, so this is a little bit more obvious. But so far, AST, they got in, and it looks like they're looking to get out.
Got shot for a few times from OG Enter's force, and feels like their chances of staying here in Picado and feeling safe, it's not going to be a problem. But Hyoil, talk about not letting them go here. And yeah, getting 2 members in total from AST. Seems like they will get the res, but making a statement out there for this final day that OG Enter's force are not going to be kicked out by anyone, even in Picado, with this AST team looking to get away, but finding a little bit casualty to begin us off.
Yeah, and Entis Force, we should talk about it as well. They're the team that's right below ROG Maximus. They're currently in 38th place. So, again, another team that has immense pressure on them to do really well today, or else they're probably not going to make it into the wild card. And there you go. Speaking of doing well, Yak making a rotation up the hill to try to get behind these guys. And so far, it's working out pretty well.
You also see the roster change that came with Entis Force today with Juan not making it at the start for the game, and we see KO making the substitute entrance here, and things worked out for him, man, because KO just got his first knock once again. See, that will lead to a kill here as the 2 men knocked away by AST. They're eventually going to die out with Libra and Alofne. Just not going to be able to res them up. Going to just be working with a 2-man squad for the rest of the game here.
Libra on the run. Not much places to go for this guy. Captain America taking some shots here. Another member from Actostar's Red, in fact, that has edged his way up, looking for some kills himself.
Captain America and Hulk not to do their heroics this time around, being the villains towards AST. trying to get to their location. See, they're not done quite yet. Captain America wants to get that kill. As soon as they find out that AST only has 2 members available, that's going to be the happy signs going over to the superheroes here.
Hulk gonna get up here on the high ground, and well, buddy, there's not many places for you to hide.
That's a Hulk pound right there, as Active Stars Red gets that reference there, and he's gonna leave a Lovely all by himself. What is he gonna do for the rest of the game here, as we just started off, and it's about 5 minutes in, and lose 3 members to begin off, and Picado, you haven't even got that much through because you were already kicked down by LG and his force, and now you lose 3 members in total. Really a tragic start for AST over there.
Yeah. Not as bad as Rocket Armor on Monday, where their entire squad got blown up in 1 car. But it's close, Joel. It's very close. I think this one is almost as embarrassing as... It just feels like the Korean teams are almost teaming up on the Chinese teams, but it's really just the fact that they're dropping in Picado, and teams are looking for kills, and they're just getting caught out.
You have to sort of expect it when you're trying to land in super popular locations like Picado, right on the center. Of course, you do have access to some parts of the vehicles and also have good loot. That's kind of the biggest part of being in Picado, along with it being right on the center of the map. You probably get into the first circle every single time, but you know, LG and Force, they just kick away from AST, and AST finds the punishment in the first round.
Oh, finding a member of Active Stars Indigo. In fact, it's not just 1 member, it's 3. Or rather 2, it looks like. A couple of them going to be shot down by Freaka Freaks Ares there.
Lots of early action here as we see OPG 100 even looking towards WGS Arena. Of course, we know them as a top team from the last week's matches, but the biggest question of, you know, can they do it again in a WGS Arena now on the defensive end behind OPG Hunters, seeing you know, they're just going to run away from the things here, and the situation is not going to be accounted for the side. WGS Arena, of course, they're ending up in 2nd place overall after week 2.
Hulk here with his buddy, the entirety of Active Stars Red. Sister team of Indigo is still alive and well. They have a couple of vehicles here. Heading towards the middle of the circle. They feel like they've looted enough. They also got that 1 kill. Well, let's take a look at some stats here from WGS Arena. You'll notice the only purple number, which again means top 5 in that specific stat, is the kill number for Lamatan, which is pretty insane. He gets almost 3 kills a game, Joel.
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, what are you supposed to expect when you're guaranteed almost 3 kills every single game? That is such a reliable stat when you're his teammates, and of course, Lamatan, DG98, Kukudots, and Sinon been on the stellar positive end of things when he talks about the last weeks of performances, and first week has been pretty good for them as well. But let's just talk about that. Week 3, the last week of regular season before we move on to the finals. Can WGS Arena do it again? Because Genji Gold right here, as you see on the screen, this is a team that can do it over and over again.
Genji Gold, you'll notice that every number, every stat is red, which means above average. I mean, they were in 3rd place before this week started, so that obviously makes sense, but no purple numbers. No specific member is popping off in a big way, but what that also means is that it's a team effort for Genji Gold.
It really is the best thing about Genji Gold is that all 4 players can be relied upon to bring success. Yeah. And if one specific member dies out, that does not mean a change in strategy, because you will move the same way as any other members would, even with the other members going down. But a team like MVP, in comparison, they do have a lot of red numbers, but talking about easy peasy man, is going to be highly relied upon to not die in the early game, because if he does, that's going to be a big change of strategy for MVP to move forward in the mid game.
He's definitely the leader of that team in terms of, I don't know if he's making the shot calls, but he's the leader of, like, I'm going to do well, and you guys kind of follow my lead. I'm going to lead by example. And you compare that to Alpaca, who hasn't had the best PWM just yet. You know, if they lost him, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. Not to kind of, shut down Alpaca.
Yeah, I'll get your point, Valdez, and I think it's really important to say that Genji Gold, a team like that, really favors those stats to say, you know, we can trust in each other to make the plays we need, and if someone gets knocked, we're not going to choose specifically one person to res over the other, and Genji Gold, that trust they have within each other allows them to move with a very much confidence, talking about all 4 members can split up in very strong areas and really doesn't have to put all the power into the one person, showing that Genji Gold can be very flexible in their strategizing, and that brings them a lot of success, as they have shown in the past couple of weeks.
over here at the Graveyard, you'll notice that Freaks Ares has taken over that location. It's very close to the center of the circle, and it's quite a fantastic compound as well. There's lots of places to hide, lots of places to get vision, especially on TPP. So I like their choice of compound. They rotated early to make use of that and get that compound.
OPGG Hunters and WGS Arena still out of here. We saw them a couple of minutes ago trying to go for that fight, but WGS kind of backed off away from the OPGG Hunters, but they're looking back at them now and trying to get some shots off. Trying to get the next circle here, and it's a very, very extreme opening towards the northern side where San Martin, and I see their Patron is already in there, but that's not going to be really accounted for. It's going to be heavily farmed out already before this all began.
Yeah, you'll notice that the second that white circle shows up, the second one, everybody's making a move. Everybody's in the car. The only team that hasn't really moved much is Rocket Armor. They're sticking behind. They want to make a bit of a late rotation. And when you make an early rotation like this, you're going to bump into some other teams. And we should get some action in just a bit, as Danawa has run into MVP. Looks like MVP kind of wants to avoid them, though.
And it's a good play by MVP. They don't want to lose members early for not very much of a reward, and might be a risk versus reward situation for African Freaks Ares here.
You mentioned the Hacienda. Well, we got two teams fighting for it just now, as African Freaks Ares has made the move. Max still VIP, gonna spot Rosar here as Bach. Gonna have a one-on-one, and Bach just gets popped. I don't really know what else to say, as Rosar, he had the second jump there. He actually got jumped in the car, and it did not work for him. So now Rosar is going to come around in the car and join his teammates.
Bob is all alone now, and it's going to be a 4v1 situation, as you saw Minoy just running away from his teammate. And my, this is a situation you don't want to be in, and Bob is probably going to be scared out of his mind, thinking that he might be the second man to go down for his team. And Freaking Freaks Ares, I think they have an idea that someone still might be here. They're just not really confident on the fact that how many of that number that actually is. But you can start going for it now, but they're going to scout one house at a time. You see them moving as 4, trying to maximize the firepower. Go ahead, and Bob is completely aware of the situation.
Yeah, look at this teamwork. I love it. You know, it's not going to amount to much from a Freaking Freaks Ares, but what does happen from this is that they don't get spotted by Bob, and Bob is just going to run away. He gets into the car, and he just drives away.
Okay, they can take some shots now, but I think they're a bit late on that. You see them really just rushing towards to get that kill. That's like a mouse that was in your house earlier,
so
and trying to get that mouse trap. You were going to the kitchen to get the mouse trap, and the mouse just runs away. This is what happens with Bob here.
He's got a good location now to just met up behind the tree and join his teammates. And you mentioned running away. You know, Max still VIP. They're in 31st place before this week. They don't have as much success as their sister team, Max Still Mad. But, I mean, when you're going up against a Freaking Freaks Ares and you get caught out like that, sometimes you just got to run away. And that was definitely the right call in that situation.
And let's talk about what Bob did great on, but, you know, something that Freaking Freaks Ares could have done differently was that, you know, eventually they didn't get Bob in the end, but, you know, they could have just split up the members just a little bit, because they weren't really confident on how many members of Maxwell VIP they had to face off against. And that just meant that, you know, they tried to go in all as for to that same building. And once they found that out, that Bob was the only one left remaining, they're going to regret the choice of not splitting up just a little bit to check multiple houses at the same time. And she goes out with no kills there against Maxwell VIP.
Take a look at the map. Most of the teams have a compound for now. Quadro, though, is making the widest rotation I've ever seen. They went all the way around the east side up to the north, and they're going to be rewarded for it because nobody is even close to them right now. Not sure if you guys got to look at the circle, but they're all the way at the top. Most of the teams are in the bottom half of this circle. I
mean, I think the centralization of these teams' priorities are definitely on for today's game. Of course, the last week and the last day before we get to the grand finals. Of course, the wild cards will be in the mix of that. And after Stars Red and Calmly Gillis, you see a lot of teams that we've talked about in the past, but now we're coming to a conclusion of, you know, who the best teams are as we head to the grand finals and see what that leads to. The next circle opening up should be very interesting here.
Ooh, right there on top of OPGG Hunters. So, nice little circle for them. Of course, a big cheer came for the crowd as Genji Gold is also in the circle. And we talked about that big rotation that Quadro made. They're not happy about the circle location.
definitely got to find the Waldo there with Quadro. You were talking about earlier, trying to travel north, and they were the only ones there. Have to travel now directly south, and I don't think they're making the biggest rotation once again. But DPG trying to look at this situation, see where they are, and trying to just work with what they have. Of course, they're just defending out more than anything as Max So Mad just tries to enter the circle here.
Okay, Daewoo got hit by Kyung by accident by a vehicle here. And that's pretty unfortunate again. We talk about how you don't want to make mistakes like that, but they do happen from time to time in PUBG. Max So Mad has been spotted here at a compound close to Kongdu Red Dot. And they're trying to take some shots. They haven't been too lucky just yet, but Afrika Freaks Aries actually gets a shot down onto Hancock.
The Nungyo coming for the 8-time skill with an SKS. Gonna find the knock there onto Hancock, who's open in the wide out in the open, and see, you know, he's gonna regret that choice for the time being. Rose are just taking some tires out from Kongdu Renta, who were just shooting at them earlier. And wow, this is a situation where, you know, Rose are was getting shot at with the rest of this team from Kongdu Renta, but Kongdu Renta is now getting fired back upon. And let's see if Kongdu Renta changes up their strategy to a more defensive stance here.
It's a Max Still sandwich right now, as Max Still Mad is north of Afrika Freaks Aries, and Max Still VIP is south. The two breads are just sandwiching that one team there. You also got Kongdu Red Dot very close by, so lots of action there. You got this big rotation also from Rocket Armor. They're being shot right now by MVP. John Edward taking a lot of damage, and there you go. The car is going to get blown up. All four members of MVP just taking those shots. And John Edward kind of scouting that situation. Just take one for the team.
And that's the sacrifice you get, you know, with Rocket Armor trying to send John Edward just out on the front there and trying to get information as to where MVP, now they know exactly where they are, and they're gonna just hang around this circle here and trying to make the rotation a different way, make a detour, get there, but it's obviously better to lose one man than all four by rushing it all together. So it's an understandable sacrifice from Rocket Armor. See what they can do with it here is gonna be more important here.
I love the state of the edge of that circle there, where there's just four teams really, really close to each other, but nobody wants to take any big fights just yet because, of course, you don't want to lose anyone before that third circle. Did have a bit of a fight, though, as Conan goes down from Lunatic High, but Godman strikes back against Alumne, and in fact, AST will be our first team out. Circle here is up in the northwest location, so Genji Gold, always the very popular team here, a bit of a groan from the crowd. They're going to have to make some moves.
See, the no cheers coming from the crowd meant that Genji Gold is not in the next circle. Let's see them moving around. Rocket Armor, we were talking about their rotations earlier. Let's see what they make out of Simpsons. Goes out to that same type of frontman scouting report here. See what they can do against multiple members of Rocket Armor now.
Okay, they have gotten out of the car. Just two members here trying to throw that grenade. Cooks it for a while. See how it goes. Plater trying to come around the left side. He's going to be punished big time for it. Simpson also gets knocked down. But a huge grenade gets two of them in the end. So Simpson doing a huge job, gets both of the kills onto those Rocket Armor members. Now he just needs to be rezzed up.
Eska and Loki are a little bit far away, though. They have to get inside the circle, try to move in with the vehicles they have, trying to get to Simpson. But if he does get spotted here in the meantime, Simpson will die out. But Loki, you see him on the rush hour trying to get to Simpson, and I think he'll be able to get the res here.
MVP, these two teams are fighting for that top spot, and MVP, they smell blood in the water. They know there was action up here. They're trying to take some looks, but actually nobody's going to reach and peek over the edge here. And so that means that they will get the res onto Simpson.
This is the best possible situation for Genji Go, only losing one in that situation. They could have easily lost two. They do survive three members. In the meantime, they will go up against MVP, who's just trying to split around this area in this low ground that they have. But Genji Go has the advantage in terms of terrain, and definitely use that to work against MVP, who's trying to just strike up upon them. Of course, they have the member advantage with 4v3.
It's Red fighting with Actostars Red. And it looks like Iron Man is going to go down. Captain America takes a ton of damage, has to res up there.
See the cover fire coming from Hulk there, and that will mean the two men knocked away from each side. That will just go through here. We'll see Quadro in the end against WGS.
Yeah, WGS very split up. DG98 is going to be knocked there. by the SKS, and it seems like WGS will definitely lose this fight, but everybody is trying to get into the blue, or rather the white, all at the same time. Nova taking some shots there from Kukudas.
Well, we were originally asking the question of can WGS have a good day once again, and I think right now the grenade is coming through. I wonder if that will get it, but it's a little bit far away, but finding outside the circle now.
Trying to move forward is Youngdal, but he gets punished for it. The TPP really helping out Kukudas here. He's going to get one knock. Nova kind of low, but it looks like he's healing up too.
Just trying to rush in there, and Youngdal, of course, getting knocked away. Trying to get him to survive and trying to res him up is going to be important for Kukudas. He's going to be alone in this situation, see if he can fight against two members, but I think Nova's just going to be going away from here.
Yeah, they're going to give him away, I suppose. We have another fight over here in the southwest corner of the circle. Papiru is all alone, and Azran just marching on through, and he gets blown up in a huge grenade as Hulk is going to get some huge kills there, 3 in total. Trying to heal up, it's so close, and it looks like he does stay alive, in fact. Gets another kill
and the
onto
grenade.
Tio.
Yeah, the grenade destroys the entire side of Lunatic-Kai on that rotation, and while that grenade was supposed to be intended for Meteor Bridge, but the Meteor Bridge already died out, and Lunatic-Kai just rushed in and gets 6 kills in total. Of course, a few of them came earlier, but wow, Hulk, that's the one way to get multiple kills there.
You know, even if they don't get an awesome finish in this game, they can say, well, we had a miraculous play there, and it was pretty cool. 6 kills in just one moment is very nice.
See the edge plays being played now for all these teams here as the centralization kind of happens for this next circle. This means that RG Maximus, along with every other team that's going to be around the multiple areas, multiple directions. The circle right here trying to take some shots, see what they can get out of these kills here.
Yeah, and this Force, they have a nice position with some smoke and a vehicle to help guard their position. Looks like OPGG Hunter's having a hard time against WGS as well. And this Force know they're now the ones being attacked. They need to drive away.
Trying to do that, but KO already gets knocked here with the other two, Yak and Indigo, all in the vehicle if they go down, and that will be them ending out in 15th, but they're going to just rush into this rock here and see what they can make out of it.
Tons of action happening all over the map as Entis Force, they're going to go down. They could not find any cover. Just too many teams on every single side of them.
Well, we're looking at the very top of the table in terms of who will get first place in terms of vantage points. Oh, hold that thought there.
He just got lit up there. Hungildong had the perfect angle. We talked about it before. They do not want to lose easy peasy, man, for MVP. Max still mad. A couple of those members do go down. And we talked about they're also a team that is in the running right now.
So we'll see if we can fix areas right now, but DPG just trying to finish off MVP, and this is going to be huge for one of the top contenders that we have in this day 3. It's going to be very important for MVP to stay alive in this one. Only one member left remaining with Alpaca. Just all by himself on the lonesome outside the circle, but if he gets spotted right here by Mildayo, it's going to be the end of MVP, and that's going to be a huge turnaround in terms of standings for all the top teams trying to get first over today.
They definitely know where he is. Right behind that rock, and he's going to be spotted by Keswick there. Huge moves by Donovan to take out MVP in 14th place. A lot of those other top teams are going to be extremely happy with that result.
Seems like DPG trying to be the boss slayers for today as they're just going up against all these top teams here, knocking off MVP. That's going to be changing up the standings quite a bit. They're going to be really close to Genji Gold as well, and see what that means though, you know, as we see them move forward as from the situation.
Yeah. Not too many compounds in this next circle. Really, Kongdu Red Dot has the best position because they have the one compound. There's this compound here, though, that, or not the compound, but the position up the hill with a lot of rocks and ridges to give you cover. That could be taken advantage of by Danawa.
Genji Gold and Danawa has to fight this over as they make this entrance in the next circle. They both have to make a movement here, but the 3 members of Danawa and also the 3 members of Genji Gold, what will that mean as the frags are just coming through, the grenades, trying to see what they can make out of it, trying to get the shots here, Loki.
trying to throw down the grenades. You notice Simpson, that one bouncing, it gets two. A huge knock, saw that one coming as it rolled right over the rocks where they're hiding. Keswick is so low too, and they know it. Here comes Loki, gonna finish off the job, and there you go. All of Danawa gets taken out just like that.
Very routine stuff for Genji Gold. Their 3v3 scenario, they were not in an advantage in terms of terrain, but very nice grenade coming from Simpson. We've seen him do this before, and done it again in this very crucial moment in this round one, and now they're up to this top 7 position here.
Yeah. Kongdu Red Dot still in a great spot. We're down to 7 teams. Max still VIP. They don't have the greatest position, but they've survived for a very long time, so you got to give them that. 2 members are going to be knocked here and will eventually go down.
And this is the Freaka Freaks area just trying to shoot from outside the circle towards Maxwell VIP, who's already inside the circle. If they can get them down, they can get to this next position quite easily there, but getting hot shot from multiple teams now. Kongdu Gillis is trying to have sights on them.
Buchanan's car is getting very low at about half health there. Not as low as that car, though. The flaming one that's going down the hill. Kongdu Gilly suit still in this one. Both the Kongdu teams having some success tonight.
I'm talking about anything can do for these teams today and get good results out of today's matches. You can make it to the wild cards if you're even if you're straight at bottom. And I think Kongdu Gillis and Kongdu Red Dot haven't had the best of weeks in the past previous ones, and trying to get it here. And last time's the charm and third time's the charm for these teams. What they can do for Kongdu Gillis here.
Dewi even going down to a member of Kongdu Gillisuit, and then another one getting knocked by Kongdu Red Dot. The 2 teams taking out a Freaka Freaks Aries members one by one. Circle's not going to be great for anyone. Everybody has to move, basically, and they're going to do that as soon as possible.
Genji Gold playing the edge game once again. They have to make a movement in on the very much the right side of this current location, and Freaka Freaks Aries, after suffering a couple of knocks from both the Kongdu teams that you were mentioning, Red Dot and Gillis, getting 1 knock each onto Freaka Freaks Aries here. Trying to see what they can do. Genji Gold getting shot here.
Yeah, Genji Gold's position for now is okay, but I believe all of those cars have been blown up, and after they have to move into this next circle, they're not going to have much luck. So what they want to do is they want to take out as many members of the other teams right now while they have this good position. You'll notice he's jumping on the car to try to get Rosar down, and he's going to do just that.
And really looking at what they have to move here is that every team, Kongdu Red Dot, Genji Gold, Kongdu Gillis, and even the last member of Maxwell VIP, they have to make their movement to get to the circle. And that might mean we're going to see a lot of kills that might come from this rotation here.
Eska being shelled down here by Curious. He's going to get a bunch of shots onto Loki, and Eska, down goes Loki. As all of Kongdu Red Dot was on the same page there. They do have a smoke and 1 other flaming car for cover, but that's about it.
Oh, that's going to be the last member of Maxwell VIP going down for Gillisu. Trying to be the killers here. Gillisu trying to make the rotation. I figure Fix Air is already in the circle, and see if Phenom can get in without getting noticed here.
He's going to have a really great spot here. Huge position up against a Freaka Freaks Aries. This could be the battle of the Kongdu teams. Let's see how Kongdu Red Dot does up against Gold, though. Simpson making a run for it up the hill, trying to take some shots. He's in the blue, but he gets in. Oh, and then he does get knocked. Not much he could do. Eska in the blue, just trying to res up for now. As I said before, there's really no good position for him, so he's just gonna try to heal up as much as possible and survive for as long as possible.
4 teams in the rankings right now. I feel like Eska will go down with Genji Gold probably out at 4th place. Can't just met up forever, and that will be him going down at 4th. And 3 teams now. Freaka Freaks Aries, Kongdu Red Dot, and Kongdu Gillis. You see it's going to be a 3 versus 3 versus 3. So equal chance for all the teams to win the chicken dinner, but talking about Kongdu Red Dot being the opposite side, while Kongdu Gillis and Freaka Freaks Aries are closer together, will probably mean that Kongdu Red Dot will get the last bite of that chicken, probably giving them the best chance out of the 3 so far to get this chicken dinner of the night.
Yeah, that does look like the situation here, Joel. You already noticed Kongdu Gillisuit making moves towards the Freaka Freaks Aries, trying to scout them out, take some shots. They actually got the knock onto Noongale earlier on, so they want to try to finish the job here. They know exactly where they are, right behind that ridge. And they do have the high ground, which should give them an advantage.
And Kongdu Red Dot are the closest to this next circle, and Freaka Freaks Aries has to make a movement in, but has to be aware of Kongdu Gillisuit further away. Probably going to be looking towards their exact direction, so most likely have to be Freaka Freaks Aries and Kongdu Gillisuit fighting out first, and probably Kongdu Red Dot just watching this from play and shooting from afar will give them the most success here.
Freak Series, they could be sandwiched here, but actually Gillysuit running down the hill right now and being sprayed. You'll see it up in the top side by Noongill. He's gonna get 1 kill. So does Davey. Couple of knocks here on a Gillysuit as they're aggressively trying to make it down the mountain into the circle. Now Gukyeon trying to fight up against Red Dot. He's gonna lose that fight as Beryl gonna get 2 knocks and a kill. And so does Curious. This is looking really good for Red Dot right now.
1v3, and that will do it. Kongdu Red Dot, exactly what I was predicting earlier, where they're just going to watch the fight come through, and Gillysuit pulled the first trigger onto Ares, and they had no other choice but to look right instead of looking towards the left, where Kongdu Red Dot eventually were going to come forward, and that will give a very easy 3v1 in the end for Kongdu Red Dot to get the first chicken in.
So, this is not the result I was expecting, Joel. I didn't expect the two Kongdu teams that had pretty poor results in the first couple of days to come out here and get first and third place. Now, a Freak Series, they had a fantastic day 1, but a pretty trash day 2. So they come in here reinvigorated, they get second place. And then Genji Gold, everybody's favorite team here in the studio, end up in 4th place. Not bad for them.
Genji Gold just trying to get first place overall on the day, and then 4th place finish is not bad at all for these guys, and they can see have all the potential in the world to get through these next rounds and trying to get the first place in the end.
Yeah, so that's going to do it for TPP on Miramar. We will take a short 5-minute commercial break. When we come back, FPP on Miramar. Don't go anywhere.